All right, I would like to welcome everybody to the World Doom League Summer 2022 Draft Live, hosted by me, Human Bones, as always. And this is actually quite a special year. If anyone was not aware, this is the 15th anniversary of the International Doom League, the predecessor of the World Doom League. So, as of tomorrow, which is when I turn 30, I will have been playing half of my life in Doom Leagues. So, I don't know the significance of that other than no clock on the TV. Sorry, I know the time today. Yes, so here we are. We have a season with 8 teams. We have 8 formidable captains, and I'm going to bring in none other than World Doom League Commissioner Ralphus to help us get started here with the draft. I know it's late for some and early for others. I'm going to throw him up here. He is just a logo right now. There he is, WDL Commissioner Ralphus. How's it going?
Hey, everybody. Sorry for the late start. We're going to try and roll through this as quickly as possible. Thank you, Bones. I just want to welcome everybody to the World Doom League Summer 2022 draft. I'm your WDL Commissioner Ralphus. This season, you're not going to have to face me in a game because I am actually going to be streaming and mostly just trying to run the league and make everything go smoothly for everybody. So we're off to a little rough start here, but it's going to get better. We're going to try and get everything done relatively quickly tonight. But a little history real quick. Just want to run through it. This is the 12th WDL season, which is pretty cool, and the 28th season altogether of the combined IDL and WDL seasons. And as Human Bones had just said, this is the 15th anniversary of the IDL. So when you consider that Doom is 30 years old, that means that the IDL has been around for half of Doom's long life, and there really hasn't been anything else like this in the community that's kind of lasted this long. So I think as a testament to all the players that have come through the years, especially the ones that are still hanging around, like you, Human Bones, and one of our other captains, Ty, has been a captain, I think, since like the first season of IDL. So that's pretty cool. A couple cool stats about tonight. So there's 41 players going to be in the league this season. They represent 19 different countries. The captain field is pretty interesting. We have the returning champion, Dastin, stepped in, and he is going to be kind of showing off if he can do it again. And he had a great first season as captain, won the championship. Coming back is Ross King, who also went out as a champion, did not play last season, and no one has ever beaten him. So there's 2 champions of sorts out here in the field, which is pretty cool. And they aren't on each other's schedule. So if they meet in the playoffs, that's going to be fireworks. As we said, Ty has played pretty much every single season ever. So that's a pretty huge accomplishment when you consider there's been 28 seasons. So he's back as a captain. Poto is our first, as far as I know, captain from the Czech Republic, at least in the WDL. And tonight he has the first nomination. So everything that he decides in that first pick is going to set the tone for everybody. So I'm very curious to see who he's going to nominate. Hate Daddy, he's reviving his old IDL team name, the Super Shotgun Spurs. And this is his second season as a captain here in the WDL. And should be interesting to see how he puts the team together this season. Ninja Dog is kind of a first for us because he's technically a rookie. He's never played in the IDL or the WDL, but he's going to be a captain. His team did win the Vengeance event in spring, so it's not like he's an actual rookie. But for us, he's a rookie. And we'll just lump Stal and Human Bones into the group of old head players that just seem to stay around. And they sometimes win championships, and they're always in the playoffs pretty much. So it's a pretty good crew of 8 captains. It's going to be an exciting season. I think that if you look at the free agent list, there's a lot of depth to put these teams together and kind of make everything equal. So speaking of that, don't you have something that shows off those free agents?
Yes. How timely. We're going to run a video. I promise there's no countdown and it's not 5 minutes long. Introducing your captains and free agents this season. We're going to start it from the beginning. So there we go. That was our captains this season and our free agents. I'm going to run through the nomination order really quickly. Throw it up there on the screen. So Ralph mentioned earlier that we've got Poto at number 1, then we've got Hate Daddy, Ross King, Ninja Dog, Dastin, Human Bones, Ty, and then Styles got that last nomination. So it wraps back around. He gets 8 and 9, and then we go in reverse order. And let's take a look as the motorcycle goes by at the map list this season. We've got week 1, we got map 2 from Smart CTF, Death from Above. Week 2, we've got map 29, Core 19, Wanderlust. Week 3, which is a little bit of a nod to the history of the IDL. This was a masterable map once upon a time, map 27, ZDCTF EXO Phase 3. We've got week 4, map 3, Ralph 01, Something Average. Saw that in a pretty exciting playoff game a few seasons ago. And last week, week 5, map 13, Ralph 02. Why don't you pronounce that? Oh, you're muted. Why don't you pronounce that?
Okay, Gris Generico. It's
cool.
a very poor Google translation of generic gray into Spanish. So
yeah. So I think that's a pretty good map list. I think it's got some balance. You know, there's a lot of teamwork maps involved there, but then there's also some of those classic, grind fest struggles that we're going to see. So I think it's a really balanced map list, and especially with the captains this season, it's going to play out pretty well.
For sure. And I'm definitely looking forward to talking about that every week this season with the WDL radio. We're going to have recaps, and you can watch it at your leisure. So if it's 4:00 in your time, you can watch it later in the day.
That's true. we're accessible 24/7. So let's not waste any more time. I think we're ready. Unless you had anything else you wanted to mention here.
Nope. For right now, I think it's probably best that we just get right into the draft. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to kind of moderate it, talk things through on the stream. It's actually going to take place on Discord where the captains are going to put their bids in. And on the screen, we're going to have the board for you with the remaining free agents and how much money each captain has. You're going to see that right now as that pops up. And Bones, if you could just kind of full screen that before you get going over there.
Here we go. Shall we add a little background music?
Sure.
This is some nice sensual draft music here.
All right. So we ready to get going?
We're ready.
All right. So we're gonna Photo is the first to nominate, and we're gonna see what he does here. This is Poto's first season as a captain in the WDL. And Dragon is the first to be bid. Roskin comes back with a $10 bid right away. For anyone that's new to watching this, which I doubt that there are given when we're doing this, but if you are new or you're watching a replay, the most that anyone could bid is $28 because you have to spend $1 per player. You have a $30 budget. You have to spend $1 per player. So $28, you could bid $28 out of the gate. So Dasta jumps in with 11. Roskin comes back with 12. It looks like Dragon is an accomplished player. He's has a long history in all of the leagues. He's always been very successful. You'll always see him in the playoffs. So he's going to be a big part of whichever team grabs him here tonight. And it looks like $12 Roskin going twice. Dasta jumps in with 13. Roskin comes back with 14. Start to speed this up a little bit. Going once. Oh, Bones jumps in with 15. Roskin back with 16. So Bones came in a little late. Roskin has been there the whole time. And looks like Dastin may be out, or he may just be kind of waiting, sitting back. The thing with the auction draft is sometimes it's all about timing. You don't want to tip your hand. Bones jumps up to 18. Very bold move right there. So looks like it's down to Roskin and Bones for Dragon. Bones and Dragon have played together in the past. And it looks like Dragon is the first off the board for $18. Dragon from Sweden, he has played with Bones in the past. So not a huge surprise that he goes to Bones. They have a good rapport with each other. Let's just get that trash out of there. So Dragon off the board, 18. And that's going to bring us to Hate, the second nomination. All right, Ed for $20 immediately. That's very quick and high. Roskin jumps in at 21. Hate comes back with 24. Big bids on Ed. Ed had very good seasons. His ratings were very high. MVP, in my opinion, last year. So, very good player. Going twice. And that is sold. So that's going to be a lot of super shotguns on that team. Ed is one of the biggest fraggers in this league. And Hate Daddy has always been a fragger. So for $24, that's going to leave Hate Daddy a little strapped. He's only going to have $6 left to spend. But I'm sure they'll be able to find something there. So we got two guys off the board, Dragon and Ed, going for pretty big money. Next up is going to be Roskin, and he knows. He nominates Tiger for $10. Tiger's rookie season last year was on the Superchargers, my team. Loved playing with him. Great player. He's smart. He's good. He's got a lot of room to develop still. He hasn't been playing for a long time in these leagues, and he could become a superstar, no doubt. So I'm always going to be rooting for him. And right now, there's a little bit of a bidding war between all the captains as the two of the top players came off the board. You're going to start to see people get a little more desperate here in this picks 4 through 8, especially probably. Ninja Dog jumps in with 19. Got a healthy group of people bidding right now. We're open going once and see if we can coerce somebody to throw a couple more dollars in on Tiger here. $19 to Ninja Dog right now, going once. It's going twice. Oh, and Poto. Oh, man, I was starting to type it out. Poto jumps in with $20 for Tiger. And some people are going to be left with some decisions right now. And sold to Poto. So Poto's first pick as a captain is Tiger. And he went for a pretty $20. So it should be interesting to see how that works out. If Tiger's going to step up and be that true, offensive threat that everyone wants him to be, I'm really hoping that he does this season. So good for Tiger going for $20. And Poto gets his first pick on the board. So we're going to drop down to Ninja Dog. His first nomination. And he puts 10 on caution. Rosking jumps in immediately with 15. Ty jumps in with 16. Rosking back with 18. Caution's a pretty popular player. He's had a lot of success in this league. And I think especially among these R captains, which I guess at this point is like all of them, they're all very familiar with him. So not surprised to see him go here early. And that's 18 to Rosking going twice. We'll see if anybody jumps in or if it's going to be a little reunion. Oh, there's Ty, jumps in with 19. I believe Ty and Caution have played on the same team before too, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Ty's played with everybody.
Yeah, that's true. He's been around forever. Rosking throws up 20. A little bidding war between Ty and Rosking. See what they want to spend on Caution here, also known as X-Ray, also known as Jake. And he is sold to Rosking for $20. So some big names and big bids on the board early here. I think compared to earlier years, you don't see a lot of bids in the 20 ranges right out of the gate. So pretty interesting to see, I would say. A lot of money getting dwindled down very quickly. And that brings us to the Moroccan Thunder with his first nomination. We're halfway through the first round. Dragon, Ed, Tiger, and Caution have come off the board. And now Daston has a decision to make. Does he want to sell out right now and go for one of these remaining top players, difference makers? And he starts down low. Chain, a difference maker for sure, with $1. Pate comes in with $5. Rosking comes in with $9. I think you're going to see Chain get bid up here. Rosking right now, $9 on Chain. Don't see anything else, so we're going to do it going once. And it's possible the Chain might be going for a discount. I think would be very bad of the other captains to allow this to happen, but looks like it's going to happen. Oh, right as I was typing it. Ty jumps in with 10. So 10 to Ty. We're just going to going once. We are going to going twice. And that's a sold. So Chain goes to Ty for $10. All right. We're moving along here. Rosking is a little upset, but hey, I can only type so fast. That's why I can't play anymore. My fingers are very slow, and my Apologize. Maybe I'll use text to or voice to text next time around. So Bones has $11 to bid here. If he'd like to go all in, he's going to put Skull Rush up. Skull Rush, in my opinion, a difference maker. I would have liked to have seen him captain, but he didn't. So what do you want me to do about it? You know, to the captain. All right, now we got some action on Skull Rush here. We got Ross King at 9. He's out now, though, because he only had 9 to spend. Stal at 10, Ty at 11. Stal's back in at 12. Stal hasn't spent a penny yet. Dastin also hasn't spent a penny. He's in at 13. Looks like it's starting to slow down at 13, so we're going to throw going once up there, see if we can generate a little more activity. Ty comes back with 14, so as you can see, a lot of people are starting to feel the pressure. They don't have a player on their squad. They want to get Skull Rush here. Stal hits it with 15. We're going to do it going once. Ty comes back with 16. Going once it. It looks like we've slowed down to just a Stal Ty battle here. Stal bumping it up to 17. It looks like it slowed down. So we are going to going once. We are going to going twice. And unless someone types something right now, oh, Ty typed it, 18. So Ty at 18, going once, going twice. Is anyone going to jump in? SOLD. Oh, Stal jumped in, 19. Going once. And Ty can't jump back in here, so he's strapped. He's maxed out. Going twice to Stal for 19. I think we might see him go to Stal for 19. That's a sold. So Skull Rush, the only Brazilian player living in Brazil, we'll say, in this season. Infer is also in, but he moved to Portugal, so we gave him the Portugal flag in that little video. I guess he's still Brazilian at heart, though, right? All right, so now we'll see what Ty wants to do. His first nomination.
We might be here for a few minutes. I don't know if you want. Maybe there's a good time to do a recap.
Sure, we'll run through it real quick. So far off the board, as you can see, 6 really great players in the order of their selections: Dragon, Ed, Tiger, Caution, Chain, and Skull Rush. And we'll recap the teams a little more thoroughly at the end. But we've now gotten to the portion of the night where everybody waits for Ty. This is a 28 season tradition where if you try to, the draft's always going to go longer than you want it to. But if you set aside, let's say, an hour and a half or 2 hours, that Ty is going to find a way to make it 2.5 to 3 hours long.
Before we did an auction draft, we just did a straight draft where players would make picks. And there was one draft that Ty was not actually present in the IRC channel we were doing the draft in. And so he was messaging me his picks on Facebook. And it was like waiting around just like this. Just waiting and waiting and waiting for picks. This is only a nomination. But we love Ty. It's not a league without Ty, really.
Yep, we sure do love him. And we love his timeliness, his expedience. He's known for it. And he's demonstrating it here tonight for the entire WDL community. God bless Ty. Thank you, Ty. And Ty is typing. Looks like we're gonna have something
Big
happen
moment.
here. He might be saying, "Hold on a second." Oh, Ty's not typing anymore. XWiz $1. All right, so we got XWiz $1. Poto bids 9. That's Poto's max. Bones bids 11. That's Bones max. Dastin bids 12. And Dastin has a lot of money to play with, and so does Ninja Dog. Both have $30. But no one has said anything since Dastin's 12, so we're going to do going once. Ty jumps in with 13. He can go up to 19 as it stands. And X-Wiz has been playing a lot this season. X-Wiz actually played in the second IDL season all the way back in 2007. So it's good to see him still sticking around too when we're talking about longevity. So Dastin jumps in with 15. Ty jumps in with 16. I'm going to let him go for a second, see if anybody gets chirpy. Not seeing a lot of activity though, so we're going to do it going once. See if we can coax them out of their shell. There we go. Dastin jumps in with 17. 17 to Dastin. But they're a little shy, so we'll hit them with another going once. And Ninja Dog jumps in with 18. So Ninja Dog at 18. We'll give him a going once. Ty maxed out at 19. And Ninja Dog comes back with 20. So Ty is out. It is now a battle between Ninja Dog and Dastin. And who wants him and who wants to pay for him. Dastin wants to pay 21. So we're just gonna force these guys to make a decision here. Dastin with 21 going once, going twice. Ninja Dog with 22. Give him a going once. We're going to give him a going twice. And we are going to do an SOLD, sold. $22. X-Wiz the Ninja Dog. Which brings Ninja Dog all the way down to $8. He's now in the second lowest balance of the captains. So he might be kind of waiting around for a little while here. But the only player right now without anybody is Dastin. And going to get the Stout's first of 2 nominations. He's going to go back to back. He can do a max bid of $10 with the current board. This is where a little bit of gamesmanship comes into play because Stout knows that if he puts somebody really good up, he's very unlikely to get them, especially with Dastin. So he's going to say, he says infer for $10 right here. He's going to force Dastin's hand. Dastin says 11. So the only people that can really go for that are Bones and Ty. So infer to Dastin for 11, going once. We're going to give him a going twice. We're going to do an SOLD. That's a sold. So infer to Dastin for $11. So Dastin gets his first pick. Everyone has made at least one pick so far. Just to kind of go over the balances here, who has the most. Right now, the captain with the most money is Ty. He has $20. That means that he can spend up to $19 on his whoever he wants, really. I mean, he has the choice of the board. Then you have Dastin with 19, Bones with 12, Stout with 11, and then Poto, Ross King, Ninja Dog, and Hate Daddy at the bottom. They're probably going to be waiting around for a little bit for the upper tier players as it is. So I'm going to give Stal his second nomination after we give him some time to think about it here. And he nominates Sharp for $10. So, Sharp for 11 to Dastin. So Sharp from Paraguay. Would be cool to see him make a starting squad here. And we're going once to Dastin. Going twice for 11. And that's going to be an SOLD, sold to Dastin for 11. So that's Sharp to Dastin for another 11. And just like that, Dastin gets 2 players for $11, leaves him with $8 to spend on his last player here. And there's people just typing, saying things in the chat. I mean, all right, we're on stream. Let's be good here. All right. So Stow has made his 2 nominations. He can hang out for a while. Speaking of Ty, you're up. Ty can pick whoever he wants here. He could just spend 13 or whatever. He spends 1 on Dranzer. Poto, $9. Dranzer, a pretty big name player, in my opinion, still on the board. Poto goes all in on 9. We're going to... Ty starts at 10. Not a lot of room for other captains to even get in on this, so we're just going to do it going once now. The only players that captains can do anything here are Stal and Bones. And it looks like he's probably going to go to Ty unless we see something here. SOLD. Sold. And just like that, Ty gets Dranzer for $10. And he still has $10 to spend. That's pretty big. I mean, he's got a pretty good roster right there with Ty, Chain, and Dranzer. Formidable team, it looks like on paper. So we'll see how it works out. Bones, you're up. The 2 teams right now have 3 players. As we said, Ty, Chain, and Dranzer. It's like a historical team of all-stars. Chain and Ty, funny enough, 2 players that were in the original IDL season all the way back in 2007. So this is 15 years in the making. And Dastin has Infer and Sharp. He is running a non-North American team, it looks like. He's got Morocco, Portugal, and Paraguay. So he's got 3 continents represented on that team. Bones puts $10 on Toby. The only person that can try to stop that is Stal. So we're just going to going once, going twice, sold. And just like that, Toby goes to Bones. This is somewhat of a reunion for this team. I believe it was 2 summers ago. The Bones Dragon and Toby were a squad, and they made the playoffs, and they were a pretty good team. As a matter of fact, they beat my team in a buzzer beater with 1 second on the clock in the 3rd round.
This is true.
And I don't think about it at all anymore. So
it's usually what I see when I close my eyes to go to sleep.
Well, you know what else you do when you sleep? You be quiet. That's right. Keep that mic off. So, all right, we're going to head back to Dastin here. There's 9,000 Dastin accounts in this server. There's only 2 now, but there used to be more. I don't know which one's the real one. Dastin throws up Legion for $8. Ross King jumps in with 9. That's going to put Dastin out. And Ty jumps in with 10. And I believe that no one can stop that. So Ty gets him and finishes his team. Legion, another good player. Been around for a long time. Oh, put him on the wrong squad. Excuse me. Getting over COVID-like symptoms here. So Ty finishes his team. All Team USA over here in the World Doom League. Ty, Chain, Dranzer, Legion. $10 across. So, and Ty's out.
Somebody drafting a team, 3 people, 10, 10, 10.
I don't know. That's pretty balanced, right?
Yeah, very.
All right. Let's keep it moving. Ninja Dog, you're up, my friend. And right now, Stow holds all the cards. He's able to do that $10 bid that nobody else is able to do. So I assume that we're not going to see Stow make his move until someone nominates the player that he really wants right now. Stow sitting pretty with $11. And then you got Ross King and Poto, both with $10. All three of those captains only have one player on their team. Daston and Ninja Dog both have $8. Daston has a full squad of sorts. Ninja Dog looking for that third. Hate Daddy has $6 to spend. He's probably going to be hanging tight for a couple minutes here. And it looks like Human Bones probably was going to pick some sort of fourth that he thinks someone else won't grab, or he's just going to wait till the end. Curious to see what type of player Ninja Dog is going to get here. He has a lot of frag power on that team right now. In fact, an insane amount. I think statistically, they're probably near the top of frag power. Maybe Hate Daddy and Ed historically, if you look at the data that we have on hand. Big decision for Ninja Dog here. Salt Mine, $7. Sleeper, in my opinion. And only one person can outbid him, which is Stow. So we're going to do it going once. I'm wrong about that, by the way. Ross King and Poto can as well. Ross King, Poto, and Stow can bid on Salt Mine. Price. SOLD. Sold.
I think that's a huge mistake by some of the other captains to allow him to go there.
I think Salt Mine has been, if I can talk him up, I know people have been saying that I've been talking him up. I've been watching him play Prive. He was on our Vengeance team. I know.
Yeah, we saw it firsthand. He changed our fortunes in the middle of a game.
Yeah, I don't want to sound corny, but like I was super proud of him, and I think he's got the makings of a future like heavyweight player in this league if he keeps it up. So anyway, enough of that. I don't need to be building them up too much. All right, Ross King is up. Ninja Dog is probably waiting till the end now. Ross King comes right out, makes his max bid on Disparrow for $9, hoping that he can lag through the season. Stow jumps in with 10. Nobody can outbid him, I don't believe, so it's sold. Disparrow to Stow for $10. Sparrow, it's kind of hard to say. He's a great player. There's no doubt about that, but it's just hard to say. He's jumping around from Syria to the United Arab Emirates. His internet sucks, but then sometimes he's like, running real easy, playing with no problem. He's like, oh, this game's hard. My internet sucks, and then he's at like the top of the scoreboard. So I don't know about all that, but good pick by Stow. And that pick drops Stow down, so now Ross King and Poto kind of hold the cards. But really, Poto holds the ultimate pick because he could bid 9 on his next player and get them no matter what. All right, so here we go. Denzoa, a player I thought would come off the board earlier. Poto jumps in with 9, and that's it. So Poto gets Denzoa. for $9. The Muscles from Brussels, Denzoa of Belgium. So right now, Poto has $1 to spend, representing the Czech Republic. You got Belgium with Denzoa and the USA, so kind of all over the place for these guys. And now, tell Poto that you're up. So, looking at the board right now, still a lot of good players. Roskin's asking why he got skipped. He didn't get skipped. But thank you for the capital letters and showing everybody that you can't remember what happened 3 minutes ago. All right. Poto jumps in. Vinny, $1. Vinny is in like every prive. Pretty solid. So Haight puts up $5. Only Dastin and Rosking can outbid him. So we're going to do a going once. Rosking jumps in with 6, which takes Hate Daddy out of the running. And only Dastin can jump in on this bid. We're going twice. The SOLD, sold. Vinny is always in Prive, always practicing. Really good developing player from Argentina. Always fun to play with him. That brings Rosking down to $4. And we are now going to come back around in the pick order. So, Poto, you're up again when you're ready. Pretty good players still on the board. I mean, just all around. You got Alf. I mean, almost all of them. But, when I think of players that have been in the playoffs somewhat recently or played in any sort of like competitive games, well, we'll talk about it in a minute because Poto just bid $1 on Ion. Rosking jumps in. He says $3 on Ion. $4. He jumps up to 4. He does his max bid. There's only a couple players that can, captains that can outbid him here. We're going to do it going once. We're going to hit him with a going twice. It'll be an SOLD. Nobody. All right. Rosking finishes up his team. He grabs Ion from Northern Macedonia, which I don't know if you saw the video earlier with all the team flags or the player flags. They have a really sweet flag, so can't tell you where they are on a map, but their flag kicks ass. So Rosking finishes his team. He's got Rosking, Caution, Vinny, and Ion. Should be an interesting season to see who gets in for that third starter spot by the time the playoffs come around between Vinny and Ion. Both are pretty good players, have been around for a while, so that should be a fun team to watch. And Rosking can go to bed or whatever he wants to do. He don't have to stay here, but he can. You're welcome to. Hey, Daddy. Oop, YPU. That means that your pick's up. Yeah, that's what that means. Your pick's up. All right, Azrael, $5. Going once. Going twice. The SOLD, sold. So Azrael has been making a showing in the past few seasons here. He had a season as a starter, then he was kind of a fringe third. It's been interesting to watch his development and growth in the league. We'll see where he fits in on this team. Heavy frag team. My gut feeling is not sure where the offense is there, but hey, trading's open till week 3, so you never know. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe one of these people will be the primary runner. So what do I know? I'm just a C tier. C's for captain or commissioner. Ninja Dog, you're up. So Ninja Dog can finish his team here with the $1 bid, or he can get sniped by either Bones or Daston. So if he puts up a player that either one of those two like, no guarantee he's going to get him. Hugo. Wow, Hugo of Chile. Hugo is the best, or is best, I've heard. To do it going once. Only Daston and Bones can do anything here, so I'm sure they're watching and they would jump in if they wanted. SOLD, sold. And Hugo of Chile, sold for $1 to the Super Shotgun Spurs. And Hate Daddy is done. He put his whole team together. Hate Daddy, Ed, Azriel, and Hugo. Should be a fun team to talk about on the weekly recaps because they're either going to just smash people with defense or I don't see the offense, but I could be wrong there. Oh, I screwed up. I was just joking. See, I was just joking. Just seeing if you guys are paying attention. Turns out you are. What I meant to say is Ninja Dog got Hugo. Of course, that's what I meant. Because we have an astute, observant community. So Ninja Dog, X-Wiz, Salt Mine, and Chilean. No, it's not Chilean Thunder. Chilean Lightning. Hugo. $1. So Ninja Dog's out. Hugo's best, and he can go to bed. So, Aston, you're up. $8. Stark is a pretty good player, in my opinion, and a good way to round out a roster. And nobody can bid on him, so that's a sold. And Aston's out. All right, we're starting to make some headway here. Bones is going to be up, and he's just going to pick whatever player he wants with a $2 bid. I guess he could technically bid $1. He wants to be like that. I'm 1 HP. I'm 1 HP, you 0. I think it's a RuneScape reference, I think. Italian player, he's been around for some time. He's been playing in the WDL since the early season, so always good to see him make a roster. And for some reason, Human Bones, USA captain, has a big hard-on for Europeans, as you can see. He's got Sweden, Germany, and Italy. He's got all sides of that continent, the Mediterranean, Northern Europe, and Germany, Eastern Europe. So
yeah, that's something I can't really discuss on YouTube.
Yeah, we prefer if you don't. So, all right, so Bones is done, and that brings us to Stal. He can pretty much we're just going to be picking players at this point. So, and this is the part of the draft where I do this every year. As you can see, the board has a lot of players left in free agency. We say this every year. Some people get discouraged, and then what I'm about to say happens. If you keep showing up and you keep practicing and you keep helping teams, some of these players that are drafted are not going to show up. They're not going to do well, and you're going to maybe be able to slide into that team and make a difference. So stick around, contribute, help practice, and definitely can find yourself on a squad. So Stal picks Dosu for $1. Dosu had a very good season as a captain. He had a big upset victory and made it to the semifinals in the playoffs last summer. So good to see him make a squad here. And I think he could factor in as a starter some weeks, depending on what happens with the Sparrows connection there. He ran very well last year. So I think Stal has a pretty solid team. You got Stal, Skull Rush, Sparrow, and Dosu. Hardy Ween is what he signed up as, but everyone calls him Dosu. So, and that's another team spread out amongst the continents if you look at it. So that's an interesting squad. And we're going to come back up here to Hate Daddy. He's going to pick his fourth. Just to give a shout out to some of these players that I've seen practicing recently, Tryon and Prive and working really hard. Well, here's one of them, Technetium. He's had an interest and he's been trying to get some reps in, and it looks like Hey Daddy has noticed. He's going to put that $1 bid on him, bring him on to the Spurs, and complete his squad. So you got Hate Daddy, Ed, Azriel, and Technetium. Rookie Technetium, true rookie. So should be interesting to see how he develops over the season. I'm sure that Hate Daddy has a plan for him. And that's going to bring us to our final pick here. I was going to also shout out to Ludwig, who is in private all the time, always trying to get better, and Scappy, who I see pretty much any night that I join a server, he will join a server and play, and Doom Joshua Boy as well. He's always around. So those are the guys I see the most. Not saying that the other guys aren't around frequently. No, they are, but they're just the ones that I've noticed over the past week. So if you don't get picked, which is impossible for all of you to get picked, just make sure you keep helping out and try your best. And Poto's final pick is going to be Killer 007 from Tunisia. That's quite a squad there. They're really spread out too. Look at that. You got the Czech Republic in Europe, USA, you got Denzoa in Europe, and then you got an African. So that's, hey, Dastin, you're on notice. You're not the only African in the league. I'm not sure if the United Arab Emirates actually counts as Africa. It's the Middle East, kind of in the middle of all of them. I don't really know. But anyway, that's the draft. Everyone's picked their teams. Thank the captains. So let's just review the teams real quick. We got Poto, Tiger, Denzoa, and Killer.
I'm going to bring in one of our captains, Hate Daddy, here as you review the teams.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, we can actually ask Hate Daddy about his team. I'm just about to get to your team. Hate Daddy, Ed, Azriel, and Technetium. Would you like to talk about your team a little bit?
I think we'll be really good. Obviously, a lot of fragging power. Offensively, I think Ed and I are both versatile enough that we could run. So it might be on a week-to-week basis, but I don't really have too much to say. I just want to, at this point, get into practice. You know what I mean?
We hear that, Coach. Well,
yeah. Thanks.
Well, thanks for giving us some insight on your team here. We're going to keep going down the list. So Ross King put together an interesting team here. Ross King and Caution have a long history together. Be interesting to see how they work together this season. They have a long history of working together and screaming at each other. So that should be fun to watch.
True.
And Vinny and Ion, both capable thirds, in my opinion. I don't know who comes out as the main third there, but I think that it's either of their job to become the starter on that team. So that could be interesting to see. Ninja Dog, his rookie captaining season here. He put together X-Wiz, Salt Mine, and Hugo. I think a lot of people are going to look at this team out of the bat, and they're going to say they look underpowered because Salt Mine isn't he's not a brand name yet. But I actually think that just the fact that Ninja Dog is an insanely good player, X-Wiz is a very accomplished veteran, a good player as well. I think that Salt Mine, or maybe even Hugo, can rise to the occasion here. Any thoughts?
I think Salt Mine is a really good pickup for them. He was somebody that I valued high, and when I was analyzing my draft. But I think X-Wiz is going to be the player that really makes that team go. I think Ninja is pretty flexible as a player too, but he'll likely be D. And I think X-Wiz is likely going to be their runner. Actually, you know what? I'm going to take that back. I think Ninja will likely mid, X-Wiz will run, and then Salt Mine will probably D. But that team will be pretty versatile. They look maybe on paper a little clunky, but they're anything but. I think top to bottom, they're probably the most dangerous team. But I think a lot of the teams are like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it earlier, but we saw it in Vengeance what Salt Mine was able to do for us in our playoff game, which I mean, we ultimately ended up losing, but I think we would have lost it in much quicker, if we hadn't put Salt Mine in. The guy's a sponge. He just kind of learns everything that you show him, and he's not one of those players that's averse to playing any position either. So he's going to be a really good, like sort of middle to those two guys, to two very established players. He's going to be somebody that can be really versatile with positioning, and I think he's going to help them out a lot. And of course, Hugo's the best. Am I talking about the same team? Is Hugo on that team?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes.
Or my team,
Hugo,
depending on which Ralph you listen to.
I don't know. Whoever their fourth is will also be good.
I was just testing you guys. You passed.
Yes.
So we got Daston's team here. Pretty interesting squad. Daston obviously coming in as the champion. Infer, an accomplished player in his own right. It'll be interesting to see how he plays from Portugal, I think. I actually think his connection is better from Portugal than it was from Brazil. So I think that's not going to be a problem for him. Sharp, I think he's pretty good. I'm curious to see how it's going to translate to this team. And Stark, I know that with the right practice and the right positioning, that he's a starter on any team. So I think that it's just going to come down to how Daston sets his team up, and it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a balanced team. I think they're going to be kind of similar to the team last year that Daston had that won it all. Daston, I think you'll see some maps Daston will D, other maps Daston will O, because he's a versatile player. But Sharp is going to be their primary runner. My guess is that Infer will typically be their defender, and if they ever need to switch it up, they can always put Infer on mid and Daston on D. They're pretty flexible that way. So again, a really balanced team. Sharp's one of the more pure runners in the league, so they're a team that I think has a lot of potential as well.
Yeah, no, I really like that lineup. I think all three of those guys are sort of interchangeable in their positioning, so it's going to work out really well. And Daston is just somebody who, depending on the map. I mean, if you take Ralph's map, I know that it's not quite as easy as it was to rocket jump in some of those earlier versions, but there's still a lot of room for that kind of gameplay, and that's where Daston really shines. So it's going to be an interesting team to see. I think they're definitely in probably the top three teams that I'd be worried about playing against. So it's a really solid lineup.
Your team, Bones. I feel like you're the only team that's really kind of run back an old team here where getting deja vu. You have Dragon and Toby. I know that you had them on your team. Not sure if I'm one HPU0 was on your team at that time, but I know that you have a Euro fetish. So you want to tell us a little bit about how you plan to get off this season?
It's not a Euro fetish. It's a fetish for playing with players that I know that I work well with, and that has served me well in the past. It's also not been so great, but with Dragon and Toby, we just had a couple of games that season where I made some like tactical errors as a captain, and it kind of cost us some seeding. And so we went up against the team that ended up winning, I believe, in the playoffs, and we just kind of got slaughtered. And so I felt like there was some unfinished business there. I mean, Dragon and Toby especially is, we all know who Dragon is and what he can do. He's a bona fide captain, but Toby's very underrated, and frankly really doesn't get the kind of respect I think that he should get, because he just kind of disappears mid-season. But again, these are guys that can go between any position, very smart. They pick up maps really quickly, and I haven't played with IM1, but I know that he's got really good chemistry with Dragon and Toby. So it just seemed a natural thing to do once I got Dragon for $18, which is kind of crazy to me. to go for this team again. So I'm excited. Maybe you can't tell because I never sound excited, but I'm looking forward to it.
Stupid cat. Yeah, I definitely think your team is going to be good, Bones. You guys have a lot of history with each other, so there's really not a whole lot to say. Dragon, I believe, um, Dragon was in the Vengeance finals. Dragon was in last year's WDL finals. Um, and then I think Dragon was also in the other Vengeance finals prior to last season. So he's a player that seems to typically win, but continues to come up short. So maybe this is the year where he finally breaks through and gets it in.
I might remind you that I won with Dragon a couple seasons ago, but
Okay. Well, I wasn't around then, so it doesn't count.
That's true. Yeah.
I didn't see it, so it didn't happen.
Did you kick him out?
I did not. I did not. Did you?
Nah, but
No,
I'm
I
okay
didn't.
with it. Let's move on.
I'm not sure what happened. I swear.
So anyway, Ty's team. You got Ty, Chain, Dranzer, Legion. That is just a straight veteran USA team right there, made in America. Except
I didn't kick you.
Chain wasn't made in
I
America
misclicked.
technically,
Sorry.
but he's recently a naturalized citizen. So USA #1 and whatnot. So Ty, Chain, Dranzer, Legion. I think it's a pretty solid looking team. As with any Thai team, it could be a championship team or it could be just a Thai team that goes into the first round of the playoffs and has a tie outcome. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to watch. I think they have everything they need to be a really great team, though.
This is the team I probably have the most questions about. This and Poto's team. Just because for Ty's team, I mean, Ty literally just came back like less than a week ago. Shane's got a pretty busy schedule. Dranzer hasn't even really been playing on Odomex much. I know he's fairly active on Zandronum. Legion is active all the time and a very, very solid player. So they've got 4 capable players, championship caliber players across the board, but I don't know who fits where. And moreover, because I haven't seen as much activity from them that you see with some of the other teams, I do question, are they going to practice? And even if they do, like, are they playing catch up at this point because they haven't been practicing as individuals? They're out of shape, etc. So the potential is high, but there are questions there.
Well, I said this before, when Ty finished his team, I don't think we've ever seen a team where they do 10-10-10, which is okay. Money value, is even, but I also think it's just a fairly like straight across the board team. It reminds me a lot of the team in Vengeance that was Dranzer, right? Dranzer, Chain, and Zakin. Where it's like, okay, all 3 of these guys are solid individual players. How do they fit well together? Because it just seems like you just threw a bunch of really good players on a team, and that team figured out their chemistry. That team was able to figure out how they worked. I suspect that this team will do the same thing, but it's hard when you have 4 starters on your team. It's hard to figure out what to do because you're always trying different lineups and you're always doing this, that, the other thing. So you never know if it's going to gel. But Ty is very experienced, as is Chain and Legion. So really all of them. So I don't think that they won't figure it out, but there's definitely some questions there. They're going to have to practice a lot and try and figure out, which lineup works best for them.
Agreed.
And that brings us to I don't want to say last team because we didn't really talk about Poto's team. So I didn't know we were doing this post-draft panel thing. So we'll loop back and talk about Poto's team after this. But Stal put together a nice little team here, I think. Stal, Skull Rush, Disparel, and Dosu. In my opinion, 4 pretty solid players. And Stal is a pretty smart captain. So I think that they're going to be a good team. I don't really have much more to say. I think that you're just going to be a good team. I think you're going to see Skull Rush probably being the primary runner. Um, but I'm not really sure with how the Sparrow and Dosu, their connections and their recent play styles, how they're going to fit in there.
Well, Tosu's coming off a season where he was a very successful captain, um, and he, gets chosen very late in the draft for a low amount. Um, but you can't look at that and think that he's not going to be a valuable player for them. I think he's probably going to end up being more valuable to them while Desperell figures out his connection slash what country he's going to be living in, issues that he has. But it's a really good team. I mean, Skull Rush is really good. Obviously, we know Stal is, one of the best players ever. So, yeah, I think Dosu is going to be really important to them. But if Desperell ends up with a solid connection and he ends up, and they all end up lining up with their availability, that is probably, at least to me, I think that's the strongest team on paper, just skill wise. It's just a matter of all these other factors lining up for them. So I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, there's not really much else to say. You guys kind of hit on all the points. I will say that this is the third season in a row between Vengeance and last WDL, where Stal and Skull Rush are on the same team. So there's a lot of chemistry there. They know how to communicate with each other. Their communication is very quick. Skull Rush, as I've always said, still continues to be one of the more underrated runners. And I expect them to be very good as long as Desperell can maximize his potential. That team is going to go as far as Desperell takes them. If Desperell's at the top of his game and the Desperell that we've come to know, that team is first, second best team in the league. If Desperell is not that player, then we're talking, okay, how good? How much of Desperell are we talking at that point? And the more you go down, the more that team's potential goes down. Style and Skull Rush alone will probably get you into the playoffs, but Desperell is what puts them over the top, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm going to have a lot to talk about throughout the season, so I'm going to save it. But let's talk about Podo's team. So we got Podo, Tiger, Denzoa, and Killer 007. Thoughts on Podo's first draft?
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Yeah, so Killer is actually one that a lot of people don't know about, but is actually a pretty solid fragger. If Denzoa doesn't work out for whatever reason, because of scheduling, because I know there was some question about his schedule, Killer is a solid and safe pick. And I think Podo, again, is much like Daston. He's a very versatile player. He's capable of playing just about any position at a high level. So you'll see Tiger run. There's no question about that. I suspect that you're going to see Podo likely in a more of like a mid-roll. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him in whether it be Densoa or whether it be Killer kind of rotate back and forth between those positions. Again, I think this team is a sleeper. But it just kind of depends on what kind of Denso are we getting? Are we getting one that's able to commit and be there with his schedule? And if not, then how far can they go with Killer? Because Killer's a solid player, and that's a really good team. But the one downside about Tiger's game is that he gets eaten alive in the frag category. That's probably his only weakness. He's a very, very, very effective runner, but that's all he really offers. So we'll see. I have a lot of respect for all those players. I have a ton of respect for Podo. I think Podo is actually really underrated and undervalued too. I don't think people realize he's as good as he is. It's not talked about a whole lot, but Podo is pretty damn good.
Yeah, Podo is one of the best modern runners. I experienced it. I chose him in a Vengeance season. I spent most of my money on him one season, and really, our team made the playoffs, but he was the reason why we did that, and rightfully so. He's been made a captain. and he's got good chemistry, like, playing wise and personal wise with Tiger. So I think that's gonna serve them well. And then, not that I was surprised by how well Denzoa played in Vengeance in the finals last season, but he was able basically to push them further and further into every round. He really took over, and that's not something you always see from him. So it would be great if that Denzoa could come and help these guys, because Denzoa really has, he's kind of the veteran of those guys there. So it would be great if he could come in and sort of lead them to that, because he's totally capable of doing it. I think you're right. It's a sleeper team. Nobody's really going to talk about them. I think probably because they're all, I mean, not all of them, but it's a Euro heavy team. So, we just typically tend to brush those kind of teams off. But yeah, I think we shouldn't. And Killer, Killer's been around for a long time too. And he has improved every time he's played, and he is capable of starting on a championship team, with the right guidance. So as long as they figure things out, as long as they practice, they're going to be a good team.
I want to follow up real quick before we move on. This team, I will say, Poto's team, reminds me a lot of Dastin's team last season. Everybody looked at Dastin's team last season and they're like, oh, this team looks really good on paper. But there's questions: how reliable is Dranzer going to be? How consistent is Dranzer going to be? Who is Seneca? What does Seneca do? And then they just casually go on. And they lost, I believe, in the first week, if I'm not mistaken. They either lost or tied in the first week, and then just like ripped a bunch of games off in a row. I think they're a lot like that. They have that potential. I'm not sure I'd put them over like Ninja Dog's team, Cab's team, or Styles' team if they top out, but they're there. They're capable. So good teams across the board. I don't see any team on here that I think like, man, that team is not good. Um, every team, I think, in one way or another, probably has some sort of question mark, which is the beauty of a league. When you have 8 teams, you'll probably get some more balanced teams. But when we have the teams that we have, you may very well have players that not questionable as players, but questionable circumstances that maybe typically aren't. So I'm pretty excited for that standpoint.
Yeah, I would just say this is kind of a unique season for me because I'm not playing, right? I've played every other season ever. So this time I'm kind of on the outside looking in, and I could be a little more objective about what I'm looking at. And when I look at this draft board here, it's just, I don't really see a clear favorite. And to your point, I don't see any dogs that I think are going to lose every week. And I think that's kind of mirrors last season to an extent. But this time it looks even tighter to me. I really don't have a favorite at this time. I could speculate on who I think is going to do well just based on history. Ross King, I would never count him out of anything. But just when I look at these teams, I think they're all pretty balanced. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how this season goes, particularly because I don't think that any of these 5 maps have been played, at least not in their form that they are here. So, people are familiar with some of these maps from Prive or just the legacy of like a ZD CTF 27, which is, we changed it around a little bit, but to balance it. But I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be interesting to watch these teams adapt to the different types of maps throughout the season. And I think it's going to be pretty exciting, actually. So I'm really looking forward to kind of weighing in on these teams every week and giving you a first take, so to speak, with Human Bones.
And Hate, if you'd like to join as well.
So yeah, it's difficult always to predict, especially with tight teams and between all the different leagues that have gone on over the last few years. A lot of the teams have been like this. I guess I'll just kind of try to say something that you guys haven't already said. If I were to look at this board and like who are the first 2 teams out, I mean, I'd probably look at like Ty's team and maybe Poto's team. I don't know. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I say that, and those are also teams that could turn around and also be like the first teams in. So for me, I think this is a season where the question isn't for any team. When we talk about questions about a team, the questions aren't who is this player, what are they capable of. The questions are these are kind of unusual circumstances, whether it's scheduling, whether it's practicing, being able to practice with each other, all of the above, or in some players' cases, moving and actually having a setup and a desk to play on. It's unique that way because we just don't know, and it could just as easily turn on them as it could not make a difference at all. And sometimes these things are blown out of proportion because ultimately, if you really want to play, you'll make it work. Um, and if you don't, and if you're really not into it, which nobody would blame you if you aren't, you'll show up. You'll probably do well, but it's going to be a grind. And I think the team that grinds the hardest, it's really going to show. I don't think you're going to have a team that just kind of shows up and plays and wins. Everybody's going to have to practice. Everybody's going to have to be on their A game. Because otherwise you're going to lose because the league looks too balanced. So I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to play in it. We'll see. And I'm excited to have Ed on my team finally. Well, again, but
I was going to try and draft him had I stayed in. He was my target, my number one.
were you willing? Okay, so you're not you're not a captain, so you can talk about this now. Were you willing to go all in?
I don't think I would have done that because I don't think anyone else would have bid 28 on him. So I don't think I would have had to spend that much. And I think that kind of bore out here. You only had to spend 24. He still was the most expensive player. I like to try and keep some money to get something at the end. I would have probably tried to get him as cheap as I could, but I would have likely went as far as I had to.
Yeah, 24 was my top dollar. Like 24 was, I was like, okay, I can't go higher than 24. But Cab had jumped in at 21. I thought when I put 20 out there, everybody was gonna be like, okay, we're good. And then Cab jumped in at 20, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna say 24 because I'm afraid if I go 21, 22, somebody's just gonna be like, screw it, 28.
I don't think anyone's ever won with a 28 player though, right? So it's a very dangerous game to play.
Yeah, it is.
It's really interesting how your draft strategy changes. Like, obviously, I had Dragon in mind to draft, but I certainly wasn't expecting him to be nominated first. So it changes. And when he went for 13, like when he was going for 13 for Cab, I was like, okay, I just can't let that happen. It doesn't matter if Dragon is 37 hours ahead of me, which I don't know how fucking far ahead. It doesn't matter. I can't let Dragon go to him for this amount. So then but it's just funny how your strategy just sort of, I don't know if it's the same for you, but like it changes like minute to minute, nomination to nomination. It's like, okay, I could go for this guy. Okay, I could go for this guy. So yeah, it's always wild, but it's fun too. I think it's so much better than the snake drafts we used to have.
Yeah. Better than the snake drafts. Absolutely. Like, it's night and day. Look at these teams compared to go look at some IDL teams. There's like 2 top teams every season, and everybody else is getting dunked on the whole season. So this is much better. It gives everybody a chance. There's that meta game where not only are you looking to get the best players, but you're also trying to feel out the other captains and guess who they really want so you could try and make them spend more money. And then you run into the situation where sometimes you bid too much on a player that you actually don't want. You thought someone else would go higher, and then you're stuck with them. So I think it's been pretty interesting. I think it's been a big part of the WDL success for the past 8 years.
You might draft players that aren't real players. They might go by names like cookies.
That's true. But it's important not to advocate for them in the preseason too. But we don't need to get into all that right now. No point in litigating that sort of thing. Yeah, but this is some interesting conversation to keep for the weeks coming up here. We're going to get everything sorted on the Discord, get the site updated with, the schedules and everything this weekend, and should be good to go. We'll make sure that anyone that doesn't have an account on the site will get an account, and they can sign up and make sure they can upload their demos, because that's important. There's not a lot of people watching us still, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. We can cover all that on the first week's show. But yeah, I mean, is there anything you'd like to hit on before we stop talking about the draft?
Not me. I think it's going to be a very balanced season. I like the map list, and just ready to get playing, really.
It's way past my bedtime.
Yeah.
I know the days of me being up late. Nope, not anymore.
Well, I guess that's good for scheduling.
Get upstairs and go to bed.
Yeah.
Or do you just sleep on the floor down there in the basement?
I'm considering it.
Fair
Desk
enough.
is looking pretty good right now.
All right.
Well, thanks for having me on. By the way, it is fun. I'm not my usual cheery, chippy, upbeat self, but
yeah, good draft too. Interesting team.
Thank you.
So yeah, I guess before we kind of get out of here, I'm just gonna say this real quick. It's not gonna be a big thing tonight, and it's not really gonna make a big difference this season. But the WDL, the World Doom League, that's gonna become part of Doom Central. So if you're not familiar with Doom Central, the multiplayer Doom Federation became Doom Central. It's going to be a platform kind of aimed at all different interests of the community and providing tools to mappers and multiplayer events. And there's going to be a lot more information coming, but the WDL is going to become part of that. There's not going to be any immediate changes to the league, especially this season, but we're hoping, our forward-thinking plan with this is that we're going to expand the player base, possibly branch out into some other more accessible game modes to kind of get people playing, and then maybe we can introduce them to stuff like the WDL. And that's kind of part of our roadmap here, along with some other non-multiplayer related projects. So we're going to go more into that as we get closer to it launching. And, we're looking forward to giving more details in the coming weeks. So if anyone's listening right now, still, we're going to give more details. And if you didn't hear this, you're going to hear a lot about it in a few weeks. So.
And the video is going to be nicely uploaded on YouTube, and you should be able to find it on the Doom Central Twitter if you happen to use Twitter. So yeah, thanks everybody. It's a great draft, and we'll be joining you every week for some WDL radio and some really good streams for the games. Everything starts this week, which is kind of crazy. So,
yep. Let's have a great season. Looking forward to overseeing it.
See you guys.
See you later.
Good night.